simulate going from high range to low range. This switch should be pre-selected anytime you go from high range to low range, high range. When you take it out of gear, you'll hear a click, click, and then you go right into the next gear and you're in good shape. Now, if you take it out of gear and then hit the switch and you're moving under a load, there's going to be a delay and you'll try to go into gear and it'll grind the gears. So just remember, always pre-select while you're in the gear, pre-select, come out and go over to the desired gear you want to go in. It'll slide right in. But you got to remember to pre-select. One of the most important things that I can leave you with in this video is you need to understand that all of these trucks are designed to start the truck fully loaded with no engine RPM. You just put it in the proper gear and let your foot off the clutch after you naturally release the brake. You just let your foot off the clutch. If this truck were fully loaded and it weighed 54,000 pounds on a hard level surface, we want to be in fourth gear and just let our foot off the clutch. The truck will start moving. You didn't have to do all that work in those first 3 gears to get nowhere. You move through traffic much easier. I don't care if you skip gears. A lot of this stuff is touch and feel. You'll get used to your truck and what gear you need to be in, but never give it fuel from a dead stop. If you are axled out in the mud at a 30-degree grade, or if you're stuck in the snow, whatever, if you engage the power divider lock and you engage the drive control lock and rear differential and you put this truck in the proper gear, if it can get traction, it's coming out at engine idle. Now that's called startability. After you fully disengage the clutch, you can rev the engine up and now you have great ability. This truck will walk up the side of that building fully loaded if it can get traction. Now if you're stuck, you are stuck. I've had drivers try to rock back and forth. They tear up the truck. We've got a front toe loop on that front bumper. It's designed to pull the truck out without causing any damage. If you're spinning the wheels trying to get unstuck and you suddenly hit a hard surface, all of that energy has to go someplace, and it's probably going to go to the ring gear and pinion. Your axle's broke, we pop it out, we look at it, we look at the ring gear, and it looks like 8 teeth were taken off like knife through warm butter. All right. The only thing that causes that is shock load. I've had drivers tell me, well, it broke as I pulled into the shop here. Well, the damage was caused out in the field, and you're going to know it. It's going to make a huge thunk, a terrible sound. The whole rear axle will jump, and that's when you tore it up. Never let the wheels spin trying to rock your way out of a bad spot. You've got the reduction, you've got the gears, you've got the rear axle lockup mechanism, and if all that fails, you've got a tow loop that's designed to help you get pulled out of a hole. Never give the truck fuel from a dead stop. As we do our service every 350 engine hours, it's extremely helpful if you use one of these 2 filters. International filters, or we have the popularly priced lubrifiner filter. Now these are only available from your international dealer. So 4 or 5 years from now, if there's any kind of a opportunity that comes up regarding your engine service and maintenance, we need a paper trail. We've used these filters. We've used them consistently every 350 miles, or engine hours. My best defense is a good offense. Nobody can tell me we have an improper maintenance if we have a consistent record. We measured it 350 hours and we used either one of these 2 filters. Now, when you're talking to your international dealer, I know you have remote locations and there's not a guy next door with an international sign out front. We still need to get these filters here. We can get them from them one way or another. And you need to talk to them, if not regularly, at least twice a year. Get your filters from them and check for electronic control module updates. They're going to need the last 8 numbers of your VIN. All right. This is one of the new 7400 work stars, just completed. by Hernco in Midland. It's going to wind up in Odessa. The other truck we talked about earlier is going to North Dakota. We have Utah. We have trucks scattered all across North America. The preventive maintenance is up to the driver. We need to get it done consistently. We need to use these filters. And we also need to check for ECM updates. Now, the electronic control module on the engine is literally rocket science. International is always looking for a way to improve performance or engine fuel economy or correct problems maybe they've come up across somewhere in North America. They can reprogram the ECM to eliminate issues. So you need to have the most current ECM update. Your local International dealer can key into the ISIS system, which is International's web-based service center, and it will tell them if you're current or if you need a new update. Now, naturally, under the warranty period, this is a no-charge thing for you. Beyond that, you still need them. Keep your ECM up to date. As we leave and we want to cover the last few bullet points, one of the things is we're going to do the maintenance every 350 hours. We're never going to give these trucks fuel from a dead stop. You're going to pre-select high range and low range on your transmission. You're never going to fool with your air filter unless you replace it. And if we have any questions, I'm going to get a phone call. Again, David Harrison, Plyler International, 800-256-8778. We want to hear from you. Your feedback's important. As we look at a prototype that's been developed over many years, your feedback has made this truck what it is today. We try to listen to you. If we can do something better, we want to. Give us a call, and thank you.
Hello, my name's Jason. I'm with Hernco Fabrication and Services. What we're looking at today is a 7400 Baker Petrolite International chassis. It's got a 30-barrel flush tank, a 6-pack of chemical tanks, and I believe it's rated for 1200 PSI treating. What we're going to go over is a proper procedure for loading and unloading the truck, the chemical tanks, and treating. Everything we're doing in this video is not to a safety spec. It's only to an operational spec. Everything else needs to follow proper safety protocols, but what we're doing here, this is only water. It's not a actual chemical or anything like that. I'll wear safety glasses, and we'll go over everything. It's strictly we're strictly here to go over all the valve operation and what you have, and the Garnet sea level gauges that we're using to load the tanks. And that's what we're going over today. Okay, what we're looking at here is we're setting up with a truck that's got every valve closed on it. So we're going to go through, we're going to do a chemical loading. We're going to actually load the chemical tanks using your Viking pump load pump. The location for your loading hose is going to be right here. We're going to go in here, and all I'm going to do is trace out the lines. We're going to trace out the line of how it's going through the flow, and we'll open up valves accordingly, and then we'll start the truck and we'll run it. Okay, so I'm going to come in. I'm just going to follow my water line. It's got to go through this valve and into the pump. So I'm going to open that. In the pump, around, come in here. I've got to go that way, so I'm going to open this one. Now we're going to load. Right here, if you look, what I have here is the chemical tank water. We call it the water squeeze valve. It's your treating valve. We leave that closed right here to load your chemical tanks. What I'll then do is open this one here. Now we're ready to load a tank. All my manifolds are still closed, so I need to load the tank I'm going to load. Okay. What we have here is a sea level Garnet gauge. And the way it works, there's a float inside, and it's going to load. It's going to give you a volume, and it's going to load going up. And when it reaches a high point, it's going to actually shut down the system so that you do not overflow the tanks. Keep in mind, when you're doing this, you have to be looking at, you have to select the tank you're going to fill. I selected tank 1. This is tank 1. If I select tank 2, I can only load tank 2. Okay, I'm starting the truck, and I'm going over this right now so I can go ahead and touch base on the PTO operation. All it is a switch already located. International is already located on the dash. It says PTO on. There's a green switch, there's a green light that comes on. There's also a red safety light that says the PTO is engaged. So there's 2 lights. Your green one will come on when you hit on. If your red one doesn't come on, well, the switch moved, but the PTO didn't engage. That red light is a safety switch. So you want your red and green on. That means your PTO is engaged. Always have your clutch pressed in all the way when you engage your PTO and disengage it. Okay, now we're on. Okay, I'm gonna do one last check of my valves before I go through and load it. What we have here, we're gonna go to our hydraulic tank, hydraulic selector valve controls, which are located right here. The left is always your low pressure pump, the right is your high pressure pump. I have an interesting little device right here. It's a flow control. We're actually gonna be able to speed up and slow down our Viking pump. According to how close we get to the top, we can slow it down. So I'm gonna engage it. Nothing happened, my flow control is turned off. So now I'm gonna engage my flow control right here. And now we're going. What you're watching which tank you're on here, and you're looking here for a physical visual. And you have your water's loading right here. What's gonna happen is we have a high alarm set. When it reaches a certain point, the horn will go off. That tells you to turn off the pump. If you don't do that, there's another alarm that's directly above it. You have about a half second, and if you don't do it, it's gonna shut off the pumps. And so what we'll do here is we'll just go and hit the overflow and let it shut off everything, and the horn will go off. Right there, we got a full alarm. I hear horn, so I hit the horn on the section. Horn goes off. I need to disengage the pump. I hear the horn. I'm gonna hit horn to undo it right there. Now then, what's happened here is I've gone past my fill point, and I've actually gone into the overfill point. So I've got to get something out of the tank right here. So I'm gonna let it gravity feed right here and just get some out of the tank, and that full alarm goes off, and now we're ready to go. So the number's 425.9, and that's in pints. This one's actually programmed to pints. You have a gallon readout on your chemical tanks right there. That's loading the tanks. So let's say we have a situation where we want to load tank 3. We'll close tank 2. We'll load tank 3 now. And let's say we didn't change our tank here. We're going to do it on purpose. You always change to the tank you're filling. You can only fill one tank at a time, or it will go into bypass. So let's say we're on tank 2. We're trying to fill tank 3, and so we start, engage our pump, flow in right here, and now we're going to start filling tank 3 while it's the computer's actually looking at tank 2, the Garnet gauge. So we'll see what happens here. Bam, I got a horn. I need to turn everything off. I've got an alarm going off. I have what's reading right here. It says RISE. Just hit the horn. Tank 3, okay, it's telling me it's in tank 3. Hit the horn right there, okay. So what you just saw there was you had a rise, and it said, hey, there's a tank filling up that you're not looking at. So it tells you which tank you're filling up. It said 3, so I went to 3, hit the horn, turned it off. Now I can go. I'm trying to fill tank 3. Now I'm looking at tank 3, and now I can fill it up. And engage it, turn your flow control on, and we're back again, and we're filling tank 3.